Like all of you, I am devastated by the atrocities of the past 2 weeks in Israel. The communities that were destroyed and the residents that were killed are not faraway places on a map. They are JNF family members, their homes, bomb shelters, parks, medical centers, all built by the JNF community. The community of Nahal Oz, Nahal Oz, I hate when they mispronounce it, has significant meaning to me and all of us. The incredible housing fund community, which we first met with 10 years ago in 2014, endured incredible hardships during Operation Protective Edge, and yet, with JNF assistance, was still able to expand and grow. They are truly a miracle community. After Sharon and Ruben Pikus and my wife Susan and myself donated $250,000 to the Housing Fund, we had the opportunity to have our names listed on the JNF entrance sign outside Nahal Oz. Nahal Oz is just one of the many Housing Fund communities which were damaged and destroyed by Hamas. And just before you start, look at that picture. Just look, that is what we did. Those houses are what we did. Now you're going to see a short clip from 60 Minutes.
How did you begin to realize it was not going to be a typical rocket attack?
It's a moment I will never forget when we started hearing the automatic gunfire. And we looked at each other. And we just both had the same look of
They're
horror.
here.
They're here.
They're here. We heard the Arabic. Like, I'm here. They're here.
They were that close?
At first it was from the fields of the kibbutz. And then you heard it in the neighborhood. And then you heard it outside our window.
Are they screaming for you to get out of the house? What are they saying?
They were not counting on us to get out on our own. They were screaming to each other how to get in.
Videos shot and posted by Hamas show them shooting up the kibbutz, including this picture of them actually leaning on Amir and Miri's house.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Is that all we're showing? I'm sorry, I thought we were showing more. Today we will hear an update on the state of our communities from Alon Fadiha. They have a long road ahead, and our funds have never been needed more. Now these communities are more vulnerable than ever, and at JNF, we are their lifeline. JNF has always had their backs and will continue to do so now. The people of the Gaza envelopes are resilient and strong and will always have our support. With that said, I can't think of a better person who represents resilience than our very own Yedidia Harush, Chalutza's community's liaison, who is with us today to talk about what he has been experienced on the Gaza border and in Chalutza. Is he there?
Shalom, everyone. Can you hear me and see me okay? Thank you, Jeff. It's today, it's not another meeting of a housing development fund. We are in a very complicated situation. Nothing we have ever had before. We're in a war. Our community is being evacuated to Kfar Etzion. I will give you just really a nutshell what has been going on since October 7th on Shabbat. So obviously Friday night we all danced with the Torah. It was Simchat Torah, a very beautiful holiday of finishing and starting the Torah. Friday Shabbat morning we woke up to incredible barrage of rockets. We felt the rockets falling around the house. The bomb shelter shook. Things fell in the house. And it was really a massive attack. And afterwards, maybe 20 minutes later, we got a phone call from a neighbor of ours from Pri Gan. Pri Gan is a community about 5 minutes away, mostly elderly people. And we have a relationship with them. Every Purim, we we read the Megillah together with the community of Pri Gan, and we go and we give them mishloach manot, and we visit them on Hanukkah, and there is a relationship. So he called us, if he felt comfortable calling us. He said that there are about 7 terrorists outside his house, and he's home with his 4 kids, 4 girls, and if we can come help. First response team obviously didn't think twice and went to Pri Gan and started fighting the terrorists who had very exact information on every kibbutz, on every community, on every electric box in the community by those who came to work the months before. People who were working the different communities in kibbutzim gave intelligence information to Hamas, to these Nazis, and our guys got to the community and started fighting with this Hamas terrorist while they're in the house of a family that are in the house, they're in the shelter. There was a big miracle that they came to the first house, it was empty, the family was away, they threw hand grenades and shot into the house. And then on the second house, they didn't manage to open the shelter because we already got there and started fighting them. And making the long story short, after a 2-hour heroic battle of about 6 or 7 guys, we managed to chase away the terrorists, not before hurting some of them. We saw some of them had bandage and they were putting liquid into them when they were got hurt. They took care of themselves. They had first aid kits. They came prepared with dozens of RPGs. RPG is an anti-tank missile that if you shoot it on a door of a bomb shelter, it can easily break the door. They came with side bombs to break the doors. They came with special kits to open the bomb shelter doors. So, and obviously maybe 100 grenades, hand grenades, anti aircraft missiles, and machine guns, and many guns. They came to massacre not just the community of Pri Gan, they came to massacre all the Shalom region. Their plan was just to go and skip after they finish one community to go to the next. But after 2 hours of heroic battle, they ran away, and not even one person from the community of Pri Gan was hurt or scratched from this event. Our community, our little young community, paid a heavy price of 4 guys that were killed, 4 were injured. Some of you know Michael Gaddisman, who was one of the leaders in our community, but also the CEO of the economic development company of Eshkol. He was critically injured, and in one moment our community received 15 new orphans and 4 new widows. Finding the bodies and recognizing the bodies in the big army base was a whole situation to itself. We helped the families from day one by building a team from the community who helped recognizing the bodies and helping bringing them to proper burial. And in one day, we buried in the morning Aviad Cohen, and whom I'm holding his gun. I took his gun after he got killed. And later that night, we buried Oriel Bibi. And the next day, who was a high officer in the paratroopers. The next day, we buried Bechor Swade and Reuven Shishportish at the same time in Mount Herzl. It was a very difficult moment to choose what funeral to go to, even though both happened on Mount Herzl. They happened on different locations. And ever since Sunday, October 8th, we have been evacuated with our community to Gush Etzion. We're now in Kfar Etzion here with the community. A lot of the members are still collecting themselves, being taken care of by therapists. I can tell you about my family that my daughter took her a week to stop throwing up. Until now, she doesn't want to shower alone. She's afraid of every little noise. The only way she can fall asleep if she has headphones on with some kind of music, because otherwise she cannot. She cries very easily. Pees in bed. She's almost 11. Another daughter who's also suffering from PTSD, and my wife who hardly functions. But at the same time, I can tell you that our community is strong, is spiritually strong. Obviously, we have many needs for today, but we're also at the same time looking at tomorrow. And the tomorrow is going to happen, and is going to happen big time. I know many communities and kibbutzim cannot still say the word tomorrow and coming back, but we in Chalutza decided that we have to spearhead and lead the return to our homes, the return to the Gaza envelope, and the rebuilding of the entire Gaza envelope. And we are taking it as our mission. As the first thing, we decided to name our upcoming synagogue in memory of the 4 heroes. I can tell you that the Housing Development Fund, which developed many houses in Chalutza, I can give you a promise that you will be very busy, because we will come back, and we will come back big, and we will continue to develop the Gaza envelope and build more houses. We don't know how to lose. We cannot afford losing. We're Am Yisrael, and we belong to a longer chain. We belong to a much, much longer chain of thousands of years. We've been through pogroms and the Holocaust, and we are going to win. And when I say win, I say going back to the Gaza envelope. I say rebuilding the Gaza envelope and rebuilding the communities. We have full trust that the army, who's going into a long war in Gaza and maybe up north in Lebanon, will do the job. The soldiers on the front lines are very, very highly motivated to finish the job and to kill those Nazis that murdered our brothers and sisters, the babies, the elderly, who kidnapped, who did things that Nazis do, things that we saw on the Holocaust, and things that we should make sure that these people can never see the light, the sunlight ever again, or life, and be an iron fist. But that's the army's job. Our job as people who care about Israel, who are our partners, you guys are our partners, and I feel very, very bad for you. You feel bad for me, I feel bad for you. I cannot even imagine what you're feeling right now, being 6,000 miles away and feeling so helpless. But I want to tell you, you're not helpless. You can do a lot. And now it's the time to start thinking about tomorrow and start giving people hope that we're going back. It's not going to be easy, but we can do it. And I'm telling you, we can do it. I got kicked out of my home in Gush Katif. People thought it was the end of the world. We rebuilt ourselves. We came back and we built Chalutza out of the dust. And we're going to come back out of the dust, out of this tragedy, and we're going to win, because we're Am Yisrael. And that's the moment that I want to thank you, each and every one of you on this call, for your parts, for your partnership, and for doing everything you can to make sure our nation will succeed in this very, very important mission, in this war. There is a war, and then there is the mission. And we're on the mission side of rebuilding the homes in the Gaza envelope. Thank you.
Unmute
Jeff, you're
yourself,
on
Jeff.
mute, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. I've known you since before your kids were born. You know, we love you. You're a friend. There are no words. There's just love, and we all have a connection, and we feel very much connected to both the community and you personally. And I really appreciate you reaching out and being able to speak with us, because everyone needs to hear. Alon, I believe you're on the call. Alon will give us an update if I can see him. Alon?
Yep.
He was here.
There you are.
Thank you, Edidia. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody. I really don't have words. I started thinking about, what to write, what to say. And I do my best. I was born in Israel to parents, some of you know, that were born in Israel, to families who came to this holy land so that we could have a secure Jewish home. These families, our families, from my mother and my father, knew exile, they knew persecution, and they fought for our borders since 1926. My cousins, my grandfather, since 1926. 100 years have passed. I'm still shocked, pained, and angry. I really don't know what drives me to act 24/7, the shock, the pain, or the anger. But since this dark Shabbat of October 7th, my life is no longer life. For the past 25 years, as you said, Jeff, to Edidia, we've been directly and intensely involved in the revival of the Jewish home in the Negev. We all have friends in these settlements, communities, homes, very good friends. The names of the communities that you're going to hear is that for the sake of the order, only for affiliation, orientation. We are all one. We are Israel, now and forever, as you said, Yedidia, now and forever. We have lost many friends, including elderly women and young children. The stomach turns when they try. Statistics rise from the pages. The statistics may be dry, but pages are wet. Wet from tears that do not stop. And unfortunately, not from the rain that was supposed to water the wheat fields of Shara Negev and Eshkol during these days. The fields are not available for a while, and the people are coming. In Enapsos, 3 people were injured. In Kibbutz Erez, where we invested so many years, 1 civilian who ran towards a group of terrorists like Yedidia just described, immediately shot. This was the case in Gedim. This was the case in Kibbutz Ufa that we just finished to to build and almost occupy 4 new homes. 3 people were killed. The community told me this morning how lucky we were. In Kibbutz Cholit, near Sufa, a fierce battle took place at the exact same time, where 16 people were brutally murdered, and 5 were injured, and 6 are still abducted. One of the daughters of a friend, as Kish, acted courageously under the fire and saved an older woman, a neighbor, where her house was set on fire by terrorists in order to cause her to go out and shut her. But besides stories of heroism, we witnessed devastating results. 3 families of Cholit lost both parents, leaving orphans behind from father and mother. I don't want to repeat about what it just said about Shlomit, the courage, the bravery, and the injury of a friend, Michael Gottesman, that is now hospitalized still in the biggest hospital in Israel. In Nativ HaSara, 21 people were killed. In Nir Oz, 25, and 75 people are still missing. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what happens with them. Our friend in Nahal Oz that lost 15 people. 15 people. Feels lucky as well. On Friday evening, a unit of secret elite soldiers, has nothing to do with the war, arrived to prepare for a military operation in the area. They looked for a place to sleep. They took over an old house designated for such purposes of the army and the security unit of the kibbutz. This house is located 50 meters away from the sign, the plaque, the JNF HDF plaque that we all stood behind and took pictures, smiling and looking to the future. 12 fighters of this elite unit found themselves in a war in 6:30 in the morning and fought for 12 hours intensively, non-stop. I heard it over the phone until 6 p.m. Those 12 people rescued the community that we know as Nahal Oz and almost vanished, wiped out entirely, if they were only not there at the same night. In Kfar Aza, which is nearby, a tough battle happened. 54 people were killed. 8 still abducted, probably in Gaza. 24 people are missing. Nobody knows what happens to them. Our dear friend, Mayor Ophir Lipstein, was among the first to confront those terrorists. He was killed in this horrible Shabbat morning. Ophir, that you all know, was a hero in his life and a hero in his death. 5 hours ago, the body of his son was found. Nitzan Lipstein got wounded in his leg. He stopped the blood and ran to look for others to rescue. We lost contact with him after a few minutes, and we only found him this morning. maybe the biggest and the most famous kibbutz in the region was Be'eri. 100 people were killed. Third of the kibbutz was gone. As you know, 260 people were gone. In this nature party next to our dear community of Reim, 260 people, young, happy, coming to be soldiers. In a year or two, those who released from the army were slaughtered in their cars or while running away from the area. These are some of the stories of October 7, 2023, exactly 50 years after October 6, 1973. And our tanks are already positioned on the Lebanese border as well. It's time to pray. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alon, for your courage, your bravery, for that unbelievably emotional update. We so appreciate everything you do on the ground every day for JNF and for the Housing Development Fund. Stay safe. Our hearts are with you, and we're thinking of you every day. And to Yedidia, if you're still there, thank you so much for sharing your story and for your bravery and courage. And we love you both, and we're thinking of you and your communities. And we really just hope that you continue to stay safe, and we're with you all the way as partners through this.
Thank you, Michelle. I think it was Michelle. I don't see you, but I think I recognize voice. Sorry if I mistake.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, both our Housing Development Fund stakeholders, JNF supporters, and guests, and to really echo everyone who spoke today. We certainly have a long road ahead of us, but just like we were there before, we'll continue to be there for our partners each and every day to strengthen these communities as best we can. And there really is no better time than now to support Israel, to stand up as a community. So join us in Denver for a global conference on November 30th and at our Housing Fund meeting at 2 p.m. on Sunday, December 3rd. Together, we will stand strong with Israel, together as a JNF community and family. We plan to be in Israel on March 3rd to the 7th for our Housing Fund mission. It may look a little different, but we will be there to give our communities a hug and see what needs to be done to support them and to move forward. As we navigate this new world and road ahead, I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support and your additional support during this time. Thanks, everybody. Now I'll pass it on to Natalie.
We have a question. 1 second. Go ahead, Alan.
I have a dilemma. Do I give money this year, I'm giving a little more to the housing fund, or do I give it to the special fund that's helping the people be relocated and help them, while they're recovering from this tragedy?
Alan, this is Rick. I can answer that. We're just telling you, just give with your heart. The bottom line is, with respect to the emergency, we don't know what the dollars are going to be. We don't know how much it's going to cost us with regard to emergency needs. But as you've heard here, and you heard on the daily briefing, eventually this is going to morph into our traditional work because this is what we do, right? So we've got the annual campaign, we've got the emergency campaign. My message is give, and we will take care of the needs, and we will be as nimble as we need to be to deploy the dollars where they're most needed. It's the best answer I can give you.
Okay.
Any other questions before we close with Natalie?
Hi, Sarah, if it's okay, this is Howard Wallach. I'm in Jerusalem. I live here. I've been affected only, nothing compared to our friends in Otefaza, but the things that are going on in Jerusalem now in terms of supporting everybody who's been affected and supporting the soldiers is really extraordinary. And my wife signed up for us to host people who might need help. And right before this call, a woman showed up that, I mean, we knew she was coming, but there's a woman in my mamad, which is my secure room, which we've used a couple times in the last couple of weeks. She's sitting there watching Channel 14, which is the Fox News of Israel. She's from Ashkelon and she needed a little respite, and she's here. I never met her before. And it's just kind of what's happening here if you're not like directly involved in, in being a soldier or being someone from the directly affected areas. I just wanted to mention that since it's kind of happening right now.
Thank you, Howie.
This is
Natalie, go
Susan.
ahead.
Oh, I think Susan Feigenbaum had a question.
I just had a question about the northern communities and any update on the northern communities with what's going on with Hezbollah and evacuations.
I can take it. I can take that if you want, Ray.
Yeah, go ahead, Alon.
Since October 8th, we've been preparing the North. Jana, other associations that we work with, our affiliates, and the government we recruited for this effort. The situation as of today is that all of the communities up to 5 or 7, the border is not a direct line, kilometers from the Lebanese border. Were almost completely evacuated for the center. As we speak, there is a conversation at the headquarters of the Kiryat Shmona city that we are involved, whether to evacuate the entire city of 25,000 people by tonight or not. JNF recruited the government and invested already over 15 million shekels, over $5 million, mainly in 2 sections. The first is to equip, as we do, to equip the immediately response units with safety, for instance, bulletproof vests, helmets, tactic helmets, etc., to those units, and to prepare shelters for that were not enough fortunate to have their security room within their apartments, like Mr. Wally just pointed out in his back. Many of those old and poor apartment buildings that they have their own common shelters below their feet needs to be prepared. They don't have enough vents, mattresses, you name it, and laptops and Wi-Fi access points. They are not ready. JNF and the government of Israel joined forces, and we already working on site to prepare them and somehow give more comfort and safety for those who left behind to keep the communities, the fields, the couches, and everything so it will not be burned as we saw in Eshkol. At the moment, there is a military activity. Yesterday, they shot Zarit outpost. This is where Ma'alot and Tzfat kidnapped happened in 1974 and murdered tens of students. We have to be strong along the borders and make everything we can so it won't happen again.
All right, Natalie, go ahead.
You need to unmute your line, Natalie.
I'm Natalie Goldman. I'm Vice Chair of the Housing Development Fund. I'd like to end this call with a prayer for the state of Israel. Our Father in heaven, Rock and Redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace, guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. Let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
And
Thank you all.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you all very much for listening in.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael. Hi.
Yisrael Chai.
Thank you very much.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, everybody.